All right, hi everybody. We're going to be going over the Excel challenge from chapter 3. This will be your second Excel challenge that we're going to do. As with the first Excel challenge, there's going to be 4 different lessons, choosing chart types, formatting charts, using charts with Word and PowerPoint, and then preparing to print, followed by practice. So we're going to be going over this practice file. There's two tabs on the data file. If you go into the practice section and look right here, PR4 practice for data. I'm not sure exactly. I think uh, if there's practice 4 or not there. I think this is the chapters are a little out of order from the original textbook. Your textbook was adapted from a different textbook to be made into 8 chapters so that we could do 1 a week. So once you open that up, you're going to have the file right here. And then in addition to that, you're going to have the instructions here. So I'm going to have these instructions. You know what we'll do is we'll screenshot these instructions. And I think we should be able to do that. And paste them over here, and that should do it. All right, so we're gonna open that file, and then let's follow through and see what we can see here. Okay, on the minimum wage sheet, select B4 through B55. So what I can do is I can click here and I can drag all the way down to B55. It's not that much data, so that works as one option for going to the bottom of it. There's other ways you can do that. For example, if you click in the first tab, you can hold, let's see, Control Shift down. So hold Control and Shift and then press down. And then while you're still holding Control and Shift, you can press right, and that'll go to the bottom of the table and then the far right of the table. There's ways you can do this, but we've selected all the data, and that's what's important. If you are on Mac, make sure you are using the Command key, not the Control key. Anytime I say Control this, using the Command button generally works. There's a few different shortcuts on Mac that are different, but for the most part, they're the same. Then now we're going to go to the Insert tab. Insert tab is the second tab here, and then Map Chart from the Charts tool chart. So right here we've got Insert Map Chart. And sure enough, we just have build map as our option. So we're going to click that. Data will be set to Bing. Okay, we'll accept. Sure, if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. Great. All right, so we have this map. And now that we have that, insert. Okay, move the chart as a new sheet. Okay, so we're going to right click on. I've accepted. It's not going away. All right. You need to right click on somewhere not in the actual map itself. We're going to click Move Chart. So anytime you want to put a chart on a new sheet, make sure you use Move Chart. Don't just copy or cut and paste it to a new sheet, because otherwise it'll be inserted within the various cells smaller. What we want is for this to be basically its own sheet by itself. So I'm going to click on New Sheet, and then it tells us to rename this sheet Map. So when we click New Sheet, we're going to click Map and hit OK. And wait for that to get moved. There we go. All right. So here we are on the new sheet. Now we want to add some chart elements. So we lost our instructions, so I've got it right here. Update the chart title to US minimum wage 2020. All right. So the chart title, I can click here. You can kind of double click to select all the data, or you can go to the end and then backspace backwards, either way. US minimum wage 2020. All right. From the chart elements, that's this the plus sign here, chart elements. If you're on a Mac, you don't get this pop-up for whatever reason. You've got to click in the top left to do add chart element. Not sure why. But from the chart elements, we're going to click data labels. And then we're going to turn the legend off. Looks like it wasn't displaying that, or it was down here. Looks like, yeah. So turn the legend off. there it is right here. The range of basically the lighter colors was lower wages, the darker colors was a higher wages. Return a legend off, and then prepare minimum wage worksheet for printing by changing the scaling to fit on one page. So if we go to page layout, there's a few ways you can do this. This is the way I always do it, so I'm going to show you that way. But go to page layout, go to margins, and then custom margins. Again, there's different ways to get to this selection screen, but custom margins, and then we're going to go to page, and we're going to click to, oops, you know what? I have, interesting. Print preview. Well, this one, it looks like because we moved it to a new sheet, it is just automatically going to default to print on one page, which does make some sense. So let me go back to the original one, and I'll show you this process in case it's not as easy for you when you set this. So let's say I just wanted to print, have this display on one screen, right? So if I was to go to margins, custom margins, I could center it, which you typically would want to do, center it horizontally and vertically. Not necessarily both, depending on the instructions. Some of your instructions on later ones tell you to just center it vertically or just center it horizontally, but this looks nicer typically. And then you go to the page tab and you'll go fit to, and then one page by one page tall, and that will readjust the size of all the stuff in the table to just fit on one page. So now if I click print preview, it'll show all of that. Now, this is a lot of data, so printing it on one page maybe not the best. Maybe we'd want to put this a little bit larger as well, the way that it's set up right now. Just a little hard to read. So, it just depends on the size of your table, whether printing it to a one page is appropriate or not. And this one, based on the size of it, probably not ideal. You could see in that preview, you could barely see any of it at all. You might want to maybe make this, there's 50 states, maybe you make a separate table and you do the next 25 of them right here. So they're side by side and then they fit on the one page a little bit better. It also might be because of this being in the way, so it's shrinking everything down so that all of this fits. If I was to take this out of it and I went to the print preview, through that same method, yeah, it's a lot better that way. So it's just because I had that extra little image in there. So that's one way to do the fit on one page. And the reason you would do it that way instead of going to the print tab and then clicking fit sheet on one page here is because this is your printer settings, but it not necessarily will save on the file. I need you to set it through the margins tab, or you could click on this page setup button right here to get to there as well. So page setup, fit to one page, margins, horizontal and vertical. Set it in the page setup area before you save the file. Otherwise, it won't stay with it. If you change it in the print area under file and under print, it does not work the same way. So yeah, do it under page setup. All right, so that's the first one. Let's look at the second one, the second practice. It's life expectancy. So if we look at the life expectancy sheet, first thing it says to do is select A5 through B11. Now I don't need to hit Control Shift because I can click and drag faster than I can get my pinky and ring finger onto the Control and Shift buttons. I'm just going to highlight all of this. And then from the Insert tab, it says to choose recommended charts. And then the second option is clustered column chart. So now that we've done this, we're going to hit OK. We're going to right click on it. We're going to move the chart to a new sheet. We're going to title that sheet Min. Okay. So now we have a chart titled Min. From there, we have been given a chart. This is it. says repeat the steps above to create a matching chart for life expectancy for Oregon women by selecting A5 through A11. So A5 to B11 first, now A5 to A11. All right, so let's look at that again. All right, actually, I selected A5 through D11, my fault. It clearly said through B11. So we're going to go ahead and redo this one. I'm just going to right click and delete that chart. A5 through B11. I said B11 and then I selected D11. We're going to go to insert recommended charts and then clustered columns. So there's our male, and we're going to change this, move this chart to new sheet, which we're going to call men. Now we're going to go back to this life expectancy. And this time we're going to select A5 through A11, but we're not going to drag all the way to C11 because we don't want to select this data in the middle. If you want to select two different sections of data, instead of holding Control Shift or instead of clicking and dragging all the way, you can click and drag once, then hold the Control button or Command button, and then click and drag a separate section altogether. So that's what we've done. We've got the birth year and female. We're going to go to Insert, Recommended Charts, and do another clustered column chart. So there's female, and then we're going to right-click this one and move that chart up to one that says women. Okay, so now we have a men and a women chart. And then notice on the men's and women's vertical axis, the min and max bounds do not match. To ensure data is comparable, adjust the min and max bounds of both the men and women's charts to match. And it gives us the settings we should do, 68 and 84, it looks like it would like us to do. So how we do that is we're going to right click on, see, 62 to 80, 72 to 84. All right. So these charts give us a slightly different view, but we're not using the same measurements. We start at 72 and go to 84. We start at 62 and go to 80. So what we can do is we can right click, we can click on the data tabs here. And if you notice when I left clicked on one of them, it selects all of them. You can see the plot area is selecting all the data. I can right click that and I can do format data series. And then we want to find, let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong spot. I want to click this, these numbers here. Now we'll go to axis options. So I left clicked on the y-axis labels here, then I right clicked. And so if I start from scratch, right click, left click, right click. Sometimes it's a little fidgety. Format axis, axis options. We want the minimum to be 68. We want the maximum to be 84, major 2.004. Okay, so that's the same one, or that's matching the instructions. Now I'm going to left click on here. And because I never closed format access, it's still up. If it wasn't up, I could left click, then right click, format axis, minimum, again, 68, maximum 84 is already there. So now they match 68 and 84. Pretty drastic. Well, this was in the 70s, so we might wonder why was the life expectancy for men so low in the 70s. That was due to a little war we had going on, or conflict. So life expectancy pretty low for soldiers due to that. It really drastically dropped it. And it looks a lot more drastic than it is. I mean, 68, it looks like when you start at 68 as your scale, this is the problem with data visualizations and being honest. This looks like, oh man, people are dying instantly, right? This is like infant mortality levels because this is the scale. So maybe it would be more accurate or just easy to tell exactly the life expectancy if you started at 0 perhaps and then went to maybe 80. Those scales would look a lot different than they do. I mean, this is on the scale a huge difference, and 8 years is a huge difference, but it's not the difference between a 10-year-old and a 76-year-old, 68-year-old and a 76-year-old, right? It's a huge difference, but it's not like a 10-to-1 difference that this is kind of showing like it is. All right, so we're going to return to the life expectancy tab and select A5 through D11. Use the recommended charts to create a simple line chart. So we're going to go to Insert, Recommended Charts, and then there's a line chart, which we have here. Change the chart title. It doesn't say to move it to a new screen. So change the chart title to say Oregon projected life expectancy at birth. Leave the chart embedded in this worksheet, which it is. Make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Resize and move it accordingly. So this is probably fine. The line across the bottom of the chart represents the difference between men's and women's life expectancy. It's not very helpful as it is. So we're going to right-click on that line to open up the pop-up menu. So we're going to click on the line, right-click on it, and it says to select Format Data Series. From here, under Series Options, select the button in front of Secondary Axis. So instead of it being like a scale across the bottom, we're going to make it a secondary axis, which is going to show us exactly what. So from here, we can say series point difference, value 4.5. Interesting. So what do we need to do this? Format data series pane, choose chart styles, tools. Okay. Chart styles is right here under chart design. Change to something a little bit more dramatic. Okay, so we'll maybe select this one here. Sure. Preview the life expectancy worksheet. To make any necessary changes, the solutions are in the figure below, 4.35, except that your textbook says it's listed below in 4.35, but this says 4.36. Okay. So we're looking at this and we see that on the left side, we've got 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. Do we have that here? We do. We have 1970 male-female difference as a key, male-female difference as a key, 0 point, all right, same number of decimal places here, 0 through 9. So everything matches with the exception of the color scheme doesn't match. It did tell us to do something more dramatic, but then we don't have an image of that dramatic image difference, but that's just fine. And then save the data worksheet. Again, I've got this written out, but in case it wasn't clear, when it says submit this workbook as directed by instructor, I have you add the number of the course and your first and last name to the file so that I can download the file and keep track of whose was whose after I open all of them to make sure I've got your grades. If you don't put your name in the file as instructed, you do lose points under the part of the instructions that says as directed by your instructor. You have to look at the info tab or somewhere else to figure out whose file was whose. So please make sure you're doing that. On your work this week, you've got, let's see here, under scored assessment, let's take a quick look at that. So basically, you're told to open this and then make a combo chart and make it look like this. So pay close attention to the data points, where they're located, the number of decimal places in this chart, the color scheme, what words are capitalized, what aren't, where the tick marks are, all of that. I mean, all of this needs to look as close to exact as you can on this. Same thing with this one. The donut chart, pretty easy. We just changed under style choices, and you might notice a style choice that under chart design that helps you to look exactly like this. But then from there, adjust it as needed, if needed, to make sure that the data labels show up like they should and all that. And in sales pipeline, this is the one where you will need a funnel chart. Funnel chart is not on older versions of Excel. So if you're not seeing funnel chart in your chart list, because you have an outdated version of Excel, I tried to make that as clear as possible with all the announcements and in the syllabus that you do need an updated version of Excel. You can make a fairly close approximation of this using a horizontal bar chart, but you will lose points unless you use an actual funnel chart. So please do that. Notice the color schemes on this. It's hard to get this exact level of blue and white, but what I'm looking for is an effort to show a transition of colors. So hunting through the format chart area is going to be where you want to go from that to play around with gradients in the color scheme. You know, all the letters, are they capitalized, are they not? Did you move it to a new worksheet as instructed, or did you leave it embedded? They're not all the same. Some of them have you move to a new worksheet and rename that sheet. Some of them have you leave it on the sheet you're at. So the number of instructions on each of these, there's only 3 instructions in the third one, but there's a lot to do on this chart. There's only 3 instructions. This one's not as intensive, and there's a lot of stuff to do on this one. Again, 4 instructions. So it's really the challenge here is to be able to recreate what you're seeing visually in Excel. So best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.